Okay, so anybody that's been around since I drug this little guy home knows that although it's pretty straight, other than the two hoods that somebody at some point flame cut in the hood, that's really the worst part about the whole tractor. It's missing the correct grill, missing the handle for the clutch, missing the park brake. On the hydros, it was like a twist knob that actually locked the park brake rod. Missing the knob off of the hydro lockout shifter. It's got the wrong pulley on the hydro drive. Obviously wrong steering wheel, just odds and ends, but you know, straight tractor other than, you know, missing stuff. And I've been looking, hoping to find some pieces, parts to put it or dress it up a little bit before ran tool, to no avail. Parts for these Jakes are kind of not that easy to come by for some reason. Probably because they built more tractors for other people than they did for themselves. And the easiest one to find parts for is a Ford 120, which would be the equivalent to the Moline 112 or the Jacobson Super Chief 1200. But even at that, finding like grills are damn near. I have yet to find a grill. I have yet to find basically all the pieces that are missing off of this. So apparently they were common pieces to come up missing. And then finding parts for a hydro on top of it seems to be even harder. Most of them that I've been finding parts for are gear drives. So yesterday I went up to Dowagiac to the Wyckoff small seed plant up there and got my seed put there, or finished putting that hayfield in, and ended up coming home with this. We do a lot of work for a big farm up there, and I was doing a lot of soil sampling up there this summer, or not this, earlier last spring. And one day I was driving up there early in the morning, and it was before things started to green up, all the brush and everything was died down. And I just so happened to drive past this house that I'd been past, you know, 100 times before, and the sun happened to be just right, and I just happened to look at the right time, and I saw the seat back and the fenders of a Jacobson sticking out of the weeds in front of a barn. And I was like, huh, you know, what are the odds? And I worked up there for probably better part of 3.5 weeks soil sampling this summer, and that seat back's a little tweaked. Never really saw anybody around up there, so I never ended up stopping, and then I didn't end up going back up there again to do any more work after things got too tall to get over with the four-wheeler. So never made it back up there. And then yesterday, like I say, I went up there to grab seed, and there wasn't anybody at the house when I drove by the first time. And then coming back home, there was a truck parked in the driveway, and I just drove past because I was like, I don't want to screw with it. And I got about halfway back to between the house and Dowagiac, and I'm like, you know what, I'm up here, I saw somebody in the yard, screw it, what's the worst that could happen? And honestly, I was hoping the guy was going to say no, because that just makes it a whole lot easier when you pull in the driveway and they're pissy that you pulled in, and they say no, and you say, okay, sorry for wasting your time, because then you don't have to spend any money or walk away with anything. So I get back into town, turn around the parking lot, head back, pull in the driveway, the guy's there talking on the phone, and I'm like, shit, well, I'm interrupting a phone conversation, so that's going to make this go even harder. And I get out of my truck, and he walks up, and he tells the person on the phone to hold on a minute, and gets this big smile on his face. What can I do for you? It's like, oh, well, I noticed you have this Jacobson sitting here in front of your barn. Is that something you'd be interested in selling? He goes, well, yeah, sure. And I was like, well, shit. So I was like, well, you mind if I take a look and see what model it is? And he's like, yeah, go right ahead. And he went back to his phone conversation, and I walk over, and I mean, it was covered in grapevines. You couldn't actually see, you could basically see like here, and you could see the back of it. Everything else was just a big ball of grapevines. And I walked up to it, and the closer I got, it's like Jacobson Super Chief 1200 Hydro. It's like, no shit. This is what that tractor would be if it was a Jacobson. That would be a Super Chief 1200 Hydro. 1212 horse Hydro. This is that tractor. And I got to looking, and I pulled all the grapevines off of it. It's got the correct grill with the headlights, because there was 2 grills offered for this tractor. There was one with and one without headlights, and this one had headlights because it's got the light switch right here. So it had the correct grill that I needed with headlights in it. It has the park brake rod and knob, which is stuck, so we're gonna have to be careful getting that out. It's got the correct knob for the hydro cutout. It's got the correct Jacobson steering wheel minus the center cap, which we can work with not having a center cap for now, but just having the correct steering wheel so that the hood will open all the way makes life easier. What else is on it? I wish this was yellow, because the chrome on the handle on this one is better than the one on the Minnie, but since this is, and I mean, it wouldn't be much to, or wouldn't take much to mask that off and paint that yellow, which I might end up doing eventually, just because the chrome on this one's better than the chrome on that one. What else is on it that I needed? The tires on it actually really aren't in that bad a shape. This one's de-beaded, so it's flat, but all the other ones were up and holding air. I haven't done anything to the tires. What else? Oh, this one has the correct pulley and fan on the hydro drive, which I need. Because obviously you don't want to be running that hydro for too long without the fan, otherwise it's going to get hot on you. And when I first picked it up and got it unloaded, I'm looking at it, it's like, man, this is, I mean, she's obviously been sitting outside for a while, but it's kind of a straight little tractor. And then the more I got to looking at it, the worse it got. When I had it in the back of my truck, I noticed that this pulley was hard up against the side of the engine block, and I'm like, well, that's weird. And then I pushed on the motor, and the motor's just sitting in there loose. I was like, well, thank God it didn't fall out on somebody when we were putting it in the back of my truck, because we threw it in the back of my truck by hand. And it's missing the power drive off the side, so it doesn't have that. It's missing the belt guard here. It's missing the fuel tank. There's several other things that it's missed. Also, it's got the little rubber bumpers that I need for the hood. The only thing it doesn't have that I wish it had was the hood latch to hold it up. But it's already missing pieces. The motor, after I got to looking at it, the motor has no compression. You can't even feel the piston going up and down. So I'm thinking, and I can't confirm it without pulling the head, which we might do today just to look and see what's going on. I think the motor's blown up, because it's got nothing. And at first I thought the spark plug must have been out of it, but the spark plug's in it, so either it's got a valve stuck open or it's blown up, one of the two. I never did look at the motor oil. Well, the oil's clean, which is surprising. So basically, 90% of what I need is here, and the only thing I was bummed about when I first drug it home was that the power takeoff was missing, and there's a handle that slides on here that you use to throw the clutch in and out and obviously the power takeoff's gone, so the handle's gone. And after I got it out of my truck and was looking around, I just so happened to be messing around, and once I looked everything else over, I turned my attention to the toolbox, because that's always where the good stuff is. And I'll be damned if this wasn't hiding in the toolbox. That's the handle for the power takeoff. So now I got that. Once I clean it up, and I've also got to figure out exactly what holds it on. I don't know if there was, yeah, I got to figure out exactly how and what holds that on, because I gotta believe it was more than just on there by gravity. But I got the handle anyhow, because those things seem to be impossible to find too. Apparently, from what I've come up with, those things easily got lost. So yeah, basically now, with everything that I'll have stripped off of this, the only thing I'll be missing is the battery hold down and the battery cover. Will be the only thing that I will still need to find for it after everything's all said and done here. So I figured since we got a couple days before Rantoul, I will get what I can swapped over today. I am going to, for now, I'm just going to leave the Jake decal on the grill. There is a guy I found on eBay that is reproducing the decal kits for those for the Moline 112s. However, in his decal kit, he makes the Moline decal for the grill without headlights. Which, the grill without headlights, the screen came up higher, and it was just a thin bump out right here that said Minneapolis Moline. And on the headlight tractors, there was still the black background outline like this, and it looks like the decal was actually taller, and it said MM in the middle and then Minneapolis Moline. So I'm gonna have to try to find somebody to remake me this decal for the headlight grill. But other than that, apparently all that screws in the side. Sorry for all the noise. Okay, that's how that works. On this one, somebody has drilled holes in the back of it to screw this in, but apparently that's what these holes in the side are for. There's screws in the side that hold this top casting in the, so that's nice. So yeah, and the nice thing is all the parts on that, the patina matches that. The only thing that's probably, well, I doubt that's even off. That grill started out life white, so you can see it on the side. So basically the story on it was the guy's grandfather's who bought it brand new. And after he passed away, I guess he had like 150, 200 garden tractors, and somehow this one ended up at this guy's house. And he said he wanted to, he said he was gonna give it to one of his nephews or something, but nobody was interested in it. And he didn't have time to mess with it, and he wanted to see somebody do something with it. And I was honest with him right up front. After he told me the story, I was like, I just want you to know I'm gonna take this thing home and tear it apart. I want a parts tractor. I'm not gonna like fix it. And he's like, you know what? I'm fine with that. If you're gonna use it to put another tractor back together, I'm fine with that. And he said, make me an offer. And I looked in my wallet and I said, if we can throw it in the back of my truck while I'm here today, I'll give you 150 bucks for it, because I figure there's more than $150 worth of parts on this thing. And he said, hold on, I'll go get some more help. Luckily, his son-in-law was there, and the three of us manhandled it. I took the tailgate off my truck, and the three of us manhandled it in the back of my pickup, and here we sit. So, anyhow, I guess we got some parts to be swapping over, so pitter patter, let's get at her. Okay, so I'm starting off with this clutch control handle, and as far as holding it on, originally there was this spring deal that stuck in the end of this whatever you want to call this, throw out, and I'm guessing it engaged these holes somehow. I think, I would assume. There's not very many good pictures. I saw one. See, now right here it doesn't even show the holes in the side of the handle. It just shows, oh, I bet, I wonder if them holes don't belong there. I bet it snapped over that ring right there. I bet that's what it did. Hold on, things are making a little bit more sense now. So I'm thinking that there was a couple variations of this drive, and I wonder if this, well, that small goofy hook spring that I showed you was like a first generation or something. Because I found this spring inside of the handle. Originally it was so far up inside I couldn't get a hold of it, but with a little bit of work I was able to fish it out of there. And there's the remains of a set screw hole right here. And I'm wondering if this thing was originally in there something like that, or however it would end up working out. And I wonder if that was originally set screwed in there and that snapped over it, because that would put this far enough out to engage, because this little dimple goes inside the handle, and I bet that's what, because that would put that. So yeah, I bet that's how that's supposed to work. So it's just a matter of fixing that set screw hole, because it's a little late out. Okay, that's fixed. That about gave me a coronary. That was a chore, but holds the handle on, so there's that part done. Okay, next I'm going to tackle that hydro pulley real quick, because that's probably the most important thing. But this is why it's nice to have a parts tractor rather than just trying to buy individual parts. So, see, just pulley, belt, whatever you got going on here. This tractor has this belt guard right here that the Minnie is obviously missing, so we can use that piece too. Like I say, that's why it's nice to just have a whole parts tractor rather than trying to find individual pieces, because if there's stuff missing that's not blatantly obvious like that, you'll never know that it's not there. Okay, I got the other pulley off of the other tractor. Fan blades were a little tweaked, so I straightened them out the best I could, but they really was, I mean, it wasn't, when I say a little tweak, they really weren't bad at all. For a stamped aluminum pulley, or a stamped aluminum fan. And that pulley came, I was scared because when I took it off, when I went to take it off, there was no set screw in it, and I'm like, oh boy. And the set screw was facing straight up, so it had been sitting full of water. And I squirted some WD-40 in the hole, put a puller on it, and it came right off. So hopefully this one obliges as well. Although if I break this one, I don't care because I really don't care about it. Can't tell if it's moving or not. Oh, it's moving. Ever so slowly. Poor little puller. Okay, let me do a little changing around here. I put a little anti-seize on the end of the shaft so it wasn't galling, and now it's coming off a lot better. Well, at least they use the same size pulley, so the belt should fit. Also, where's the key? Oh. So half the key is in here and half the key is in there. Neato. Now we gotta get the key out without hurting anything. Okay, so somebody has boogered this poor shaft before. It almost looks like the pulley, I don't know if a set screw came loose and it was spinning or what, but they got some sort of filler in there and a gouge and whatnot. So by the time this is all said and done, we may end up taking 2 hydros and making one good one, but that's not today's project. But there is a Woodruff key right here, which I think was actually, I don't know what all they had going on here. I think they had that pulley. I don't even think it was actually a key in it. I think they ground this dang key off flat, drove that pulley on, and it was literally just friction fit with a set screw. But luckily, it doesn't appear the keyway is hurt. I just have to get that out of there without hurting it. The keyway. Obviously the key is screwed. So I hit down on the back with this irregular straight punch and got it to start rolling out. So now we should that was honestly a lot easier than I initially expected it to be. So now there's just a little bit of scarring I'll probably have to clean up real quick before we roll the good key in there, and we should be back in business. Okay, new key drops right in there, no problem. So hopefully there we go. It is just a touch. loose, but for what little bit we're doing, like I say, eventually what's probably going to happen the way that shaft is chewed up is we're going to have to take this hydro and the one out of that other tractor and make a good one out of the two. But for right now, and the fact that we're not actually actively using it as a mower, it's just a go-kart, it will be just fine. Just have to keep an eye on it. Make sure that set screw doesn't come loose on us. And the back set, or the back set on this, so that it doesn't, because there's no shoulder turned up on the shaft. It's just a straight shaft into the pump. They actually have a snap ring groove and a snap ring inside the pulley, and that's what sets that's how far in it has to go on the shaft, and then that keeps the bolts that hold the fan on from rubbing on the pump housing. So I guess before I throw the belt back on, we need to take this guy off, because we have to drill. This is the park brake lock. We need to get that busted off stud out of there, and we'll get the one off the other tractor while we got this side all opened up and get that swapped out. Okay, so we're gonna end up having to swap the whole block and handle in the whole 9 yards. I don't know if you can see it, but I got it apart. I'm not gonna be able to, I can't get it to show up on camera. But basically what they did was they ran that park brake lock in there, and then they swedged the end of it over so that when you're screwing it out, you can't screw it all the way out. It bottoms out at the top. So basically I'm gonna have to replace this whole little block dealio. So we're gonna have to take the whole thing off of that tractor and put on here. Okay, I got lucky. I threw a pair of vice grips on this and it came right loose, so it just needs some WD-40 to clean it up. And then, actually I don't even know if it needs a WD-40. It doesn't even need a WD-40. I mean, I'll throw some on there, but she is golden. I bet what happened a lot of times, and probably why that one broke, is I bet people would take these things when they were backing them out, they would crank them hard and wedge them and then get them stuck, if I had to guess. But anyhow, we will throw this guy on there and then that aspect will be done. Okay, so this slides on here, and then that goes over that bolt, and then there's a shoulder on the bushing on this pulley that rotates on, and then there is a washer and a spacer and a nut. That also acts as a stud that holds the side cover on. And then there's this guy, which is what connects this linkage to the actual brake itself back here on the transaxle. And this is also where you adjust your brake. We're going to put this back where it was. And that goes in that hole with an R pin. And now you've got your brake lock. And now we can throw this back on. And ta-da! And then your brake is down here, so you push the pedal forward. That actuates your brake shoe. And then you just screw this down. It's a little bit clunky, honestly, but you screw that down and then that holds your brake. And the gear drive tractors use something completely different. There was an actual lever type linkage. But this is how the hydros worked. So, there's that, and then all I gotta do is throw those belt guards on here real quick, and then this will be buttoned up. Okay, I guess since we're kind of just working our way around the tractor here, next step we're gonna do the steering wheel. This is, I didn't know which one I was dreading the most, the pulley or the steering wheel, and the only reason I'm dreading the steering wheel is trying to get that one off that tractor without breaking it. I don't care about this one. We can break this one, and I'm pretty sure it's an old car steering wheel anyhow. So, but this one here, we can't break this one. No way. It's loose-ish. Come on, darling, play nice for me. It wiggles on the shaft. All we gotta do, because you can't get on it with a gear puller because you'll bust the center out. Oh, she moved. She moved. Oh God, no way. That was the part I was dreading the most, was getting this off without breaking it. So now I can do whatever I want. That other one, I can cut that one off in pieces for all I care. The only thing I'm afeared of is this is a keyed shaft, and they jammed a splined steering wheel on there. I can still see the key. It's offset to one side, so that one is not loose. So I'm thinking the best thing to do is just going to be to break the plastic off so that I can get on the center with a gear puller and yank it off. That's the easiest thing I can think of that won't hurt anything major. And like I say, I don't, honestly, it looks a little bit, I know. As I say, it looks like an old GM steering wheel. They had the big flat center with the Chevy logo in the middle, but maybe not. I'm not a car guy, so, or an automotive guy, I guess I should say. So I'm going to, what's the best way to cut that? Probably just a cut-off wheel on the grinder. I mean, I'm not trying to save it. I might as well just, we're just gonna. Sorry to anybody who might have found this steering wheel useful, but I'm sure the splines are boogered up from being driven on this thing anyhow, so. same thing here. Hey, that's retro right there. That's a half moon steering wheel. Actually, it'd be like that. Yeah, that's straight out of the 60s garden tractor right there. Who was the one that did that? I think Simplicity had those on a lot of their older tractors, those crescent moon steering wheels. Well, you ought to brake, dadgummit. Oh. I guess that's all we had to do anyhow. And luckily the shaft isn't boogered up. Well, I guess I cut that steering wheel up for no reason, but I figured it felt like it was wedged down there. So I will wire brush this shaft so we can anti-seize it, so that next time we have to do this, we don't have to worry about it. And we'll slap that new steering wheel on there. You only have to do the top, because when you slide the steering wheel on, it's going to pull that stuff down the shaft. So now what I am noticing is apparently we are a couple teeth off on the sector gear, because the wheels are straight and the steering wheel is off. Whoops, don't lose that. But it looks like, well, we almost need the steering wheel on so that we can get the sector gear set right. So I guess we'll go ahead and, shit, where did it go? There it is. Nope, that's not it. Oh, there it is. Okay. I like it when, I like Woodruff keys better when they stick. Okay. Now we will just put that on there finger tight for a minute, and let me look and see what we got to do to straighten the steering wheel out. Okay, steering wheel's all buttoned up. The shaft was actually 180 degrees out of time. The steering wheel has to go in like this, with this crescent facing the seat, because the steering wheel, I don't know how well you can see it, the steering wheel actually has a cant built into it, so that when you're going straight ahead, you have enough room to pick the hood up. Which this is a lot better than having that other steering wheel on there, because with that other steering wheel, obviously it was not made for this, and you could only pick the hood up about that far before you hit the steering wheel, which was really unhandy. Which might be why, whoops, did not mean to drop that. Which might be why they had these holes torch cut in here, is because they couldn't, with that other steering wheel on there, they couldn't get the hood up enough to do anything to the motor. So that's done. Now we can, I think I'm just, because there's the knob on that is held on with this little tiny square head set screw, and can't get a crescent wrench on it. We don't have a square drive socket that'll fit it. Really can't get a, Really can't get a wrench on it, period. At least not have enough. Well, maybe I can. Hang tight. Yeah, we don't have... I thought we had a set of mini wrenches here. It's smaller than a quarter. I thought we had a set of mini wrenches here, but I can't find them. So, I'm just going to replace this whole deal. It just held on with a pin. Plus, I'm worried about, as small as that is, I'm worried about snapping it off. So I have to get this cover out of the way on both tractors, and then we can swap those. Okay, so I got all the bolts out of that cover. Luckily I started on this tractor and not the Moline, and realized, wait a minute, you can't get that cover off until you take this here knob off. So luckily I was able to get on it from the end with a crescent wrench and turn it off. And then really luckily the insert in this thing is brass, so it wasn't corroded, so the set screw spun right out. And we're going to replace that square head set screw with a socket head set screw. That way you don't have to have a small wrench to get on it. You can just come right in from the side and okay, hold on, that thing needs cleaned up some. So, like I was saying, put a socket head set screw on there so that all you need is a T-handle, and you just come right in like so. And there's that. So that should be... Did the parking brake. I'm assuming that there's supposed to be some sort of grommet on this to hold it, you know, over and isolated. Obviously don't have that, so you're gonna have to come up with something. But we'll cross that bridge in a minute. So I got the pulley swap, steering wheel swap, that knob, the clutch handle. So I think all we need from this point, at least as far as what we're gonna do for now, is the grill. Okay, so you have to take the fuel tank out of the way to get all this stuff in, and then I already took it off of the parts tractor. It's a little bit of a balancing act getting this stuff in here, because I guess we'll do it this way. You got a bolt, and then a spacer, and then a flat washer, and then your headlight bracket, and then a nut and a lock washer. And then on the bottom, they must have decided to forego the flat washer, and it's just the spacer. And then they actually kind of pull on this grill frame a little more than you'd think, but near as I can tell, everything on the stack up is original, so maybe it'll pull it back somewhat into square-ish. And then we take this guy, and it slides down here, like so. And then there's these little body clips with self-tapping screws. Oh, wait a minute, wrong hole. I think that hole, yeah. This is where it's gonna get a little goofy since this frame is twisted. Stuff might not necessarily fit like it's supposed to. Damn it, where did it go this time? Well, I guess the last thing to do while I got the fuel tank out of the way is the wires here. I checked the bulbs in the light sockets and neither one was blown out and all the contacts were clean, so I put some dielectric grease in there. Might as well. Unfortunately, the hot wire is no longer here, but might as well run a wire and see, just for shits and giggles, if the lights work. If not, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time making them work, but because that switch very well could be roached. But I wonder because that's a red, that's obviously power, that's blue, that's blue, and that's the only wire coming up this far that's cut. I wonder if that's the hot wire. Let's do a continuity test real quick and see, because if that's our guy, at least for now, all we gotta do is stick an end on it and we're good to go. Well, that was indeed the power wire for the lights, and the lights do indeed work. However, the switch is bad. I confirmed they work, so I jumpered from power to outgoing, and I'll be danged if the lights come on just like they're supposed to, but switchy no worky. Which I kind of suspected because, oh wait, yeah, that terminal's loose, and actually it looks like something bad has happened to the switch to begin with, because the insulator on the back is bulging. Actually looks like damn near the same switch that's in the 7300. Hold on. Alright, so once I knew that the lights on there actually worked, I couldn't help myself, so I ran to town and got a new switch. And for now, I just bought a cheapo 2-position push-pull switch and a inline mini fuse holder, and that'll do the job for now. I'm 99% because I was going to try to clean this thing up, and apparently it got hot at some point because of the Bakelite back here was roached, and I basically touched it with a screwdriver and the entire terminal broke off. So that switch must have got hot at some point, but I'm 99% sure that is the same exact switch that is in the 7300 with the self-contained fuse holder and all that. In which case Brillman has the exact replacement switch for this, minus their switch has a bigger stud on it, so I'd have to drill that hole out, which kind of sucks, but it would be the correct switch regardless. So when I finally get around to rewiring this thing, because the entire wiring harness needs redone on it, except it's but when that time comes, I'll get the good Brillman switch that's actually correct for it. But we got working lights now, so I'm gonna back this thing out real quick while Dad still got the power washer out, and give her another bath while I got the hood off, and we will wrap this project up. And with that, she is ready for Ran Tool. Looks a heck of a lot better all dressed up. Not that I did a whole, well, I mean, actually I should say it did do a fair bit, because that whole grill and having the shift lever on there and actually having the knobs on there, and not that you can see it, but the correct pulley, it just makes it a lot nicer tractor, especially the grill. Like I say, just gonna have to see if I can get a decal shop to make me this decal, but with the and then Minneapolis Moline. So it'd be nice to find, it'd actually be nice if there's another one of these down at Ran Tool, so I can get a picture of this with the on it. It'd make life a little easier. The only thing that sucks is it's black with this chrome lettering, and if I remember right, he can't replicate that chrome, which kind of sucks. Because this decal is actually more of a tin, or I guess you call it. It's actually like a foil, and the black is laid over it, and the Jacobson and then the border around the lights is actually the color of the foil, which is how the Moline decal should be. But obviously that's not something that any old decal shop is going to replicate. So, but still light years ahead of that expanded metal that was in there. And I have to apologize for this old girl, but apparently she knew that she was giving things up for a good cause, because there was not a single piece I took off of there that fought me. The pulley came right off. Everything came right off without a fight, which was amazing, since I don't know how long this thing had been sitting outside in front of that guy's barn, but I'm guessing it's been a hot minute. So apparently she was willing to give up what I needed to take. That thing fought me harder than this one did, honestly. It's like, I'm trying to help you, quit fighting. But eventually, like I say, probably gonna take the grill shell off of this one and get it painted up yellow and put on there, since that one's twisted. That way everything will be squared up. And probably it'd be, I wish there was an easy way to spin the hydro up in this one and see if it was good. Because if it was a good hydro, the shaft and everything on it's good. You just unbolt the hydro off of this from this transaxle and bolt it on that one, and you're good to go. But that's projects for later dates. This is the bulk of it. So, and I was gonna pop the head off that Kohler there and see why it had 0 compression, but it's a little bit of a chore just to get the head off of it, so I'm not gonna screw with that today. But it's kind of a shame because she really was a fairly straight old girl, but like there was already enough pieces missing, and with the motor being blown up, it's just, unfortunately you can't save them all, and sometimes you got to kill a decent one to keep a good one going. So I guess it was just this one's time. But anyway, I guess that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one.